My thought process now may be wrong. I'll let Gordon correct me, but I feel like those cover crops are harnessing those nutrients instead of leaching through the soil profile. And then when I kill them, they're going to slowly be released back out. So, you know, that's my thinking now, is I want something there holding those nutrients. And we saw this last year, wet planting season. We were planting corn on our cover crop land, and I couldn't even stand up on my no-till land. And just what he said is that cover crop sucking the moisture up. And anyway, it goes against everything. My daddy would probably think I'd lost my mind. He didn't like no-till, much less I can't imagine what he'd think about cover crop. And it does go against a lot of things, but it's working for us. I feel like our soil profile's improving. We've got more earthworms, and one of the biggest things I can tell you is all of this dry matter we have out there is leaving in a hurry. And I'm saying it's the microbial activity of the earthworms that are eating it. Because years past when we weren't thinking about soil health, I was no-tilling, and we started getting this mass of old crop residue that wasn't going anywhere. But now it's disappearing faster than it ever has when we're doing cover crops. I can't explain all that, but I guess that's part of it, isn't it? They're eating it. And we've already got places that you couldn't even see the ground that it's already disappeared. And it's only been a few weeks. So it's something we're trying to learn about. I told my bride one day, I got through planting some cover crop, and I got in some I didn't have any cover crop. I told her I felt like I wasn't doing right. It didn't even feel right. I didn't have my roller down. I was just driving through the field, and you know, it's just I just feel like I'm doing the right thing. And I think our soils are changing. Stephen was saying that our CEC levels, he can see a noticeable difference just in 1 year cover crop. Looking at the exact field, you know, 12 months before, 12 months after, with just 1 year. And I know that we can tell a difference in our tilt of our soil. A lot of this dirt we threw out of the ditches when the ditches were dug. I don't know if they did that anywhere else, but in Dillon County, I think that's the first thing, just throw it all out. And I mean, it used to be just as hard, slimy when it was wet, and hard as a brick when it was dry. And you can just scratch through it now. I mean, it's just got a soft texture to it. I had a farmer stop by, and he commented about how he couldn't believe how mellow that dirt was out of the ditch. We were like 40 feet off from the edge of the ditch. And it was a really big ditch, about a 100-foot wide path is normally what that dirt would be. So we're seeing a lot of changes. You know, I can't say I've seen any fertility difference. We're doing a test this year, a CIG grant. We've reduced our nitrogen by 55 units based off the Haney test, because that's what they said that we should have. So I put my normal rate out there. We reduced the other by 55 units. We'll carry yield and see what happens. But another big thing that we've seen is last year I had 200 acres of cover crop that we planted, and we had 150 acres that we did not get cover crop on. The 150 acres no cover crop, we subsoiled every bit of that. The cover crop land we did not subsoil. It had not been subsoiled in 2 years, and it did not get subsoiled this past year. This fall, after we cut all the corn, because of the rain that we had and run the combine over the field when it was wet, I felt like we needed to subsoil all of our corn land. And the fellow who works for me came to me and he said in the fields where we had the grass, the subsoil pulled a lot easier than where we didn't have the grass. Which makes no sense, because the land was just subsoiled that spring. And the other hadn't been subsoiled out since 3rd year. And it needs to be pretty massive for him to pick up on that. I mean, it still wasn't just a little bit of a difference. But it was huge. And I'm just saying, for him, I didn't ask him about it. He just came to me and said, hey, everywhere he planted that grass, the track was pulling so much easier. Because where we don't, our land gets so tight. I mean, I've had the tractor to stand up. I mean, it'll pull so tight in front about to come off the ground. That's how tight this land will get. Am I right, Sonny? Year after year. It's not skipping a year. And to see that kind of difference says something. I can't quantify it. I can't tell you, we didn't see any yield difference between subsoiling and no subsoiling, and no yield difference between cover crop and none. I saw earthworm population go up. I saw crop residues disappearing faster. And I know the land's getting better as far as the tilt and everything. But we hope the Haney test and the CIG grant is going to help us put numbers on what we think is happening as far as your pocketbook. How much nitrogen can we save? You know, is our organic matter going up? You know, are our CEC levels changing? Are we training nutrients better? We hope to be able to put a hard number on that at the end of 3 years. And Alan, Gaddy's got a field, Sonny Price, and Tony, and we do in Dillon County, and then one in Marlboro, and then Jason has one in Richland. So we got a very diverse area that we're looking at. So it'll be really interesting. November, and they came back and spread the rye, but then we had to get rain on the rye. It was late coming up. The rye was late. So, and then our CIG, I don't know if anybody cares to look at our CIG field. We planted into rye this tall and like a cart. I mean, it was ginormous. I got some pictures. When we rolled it over, it looked like a blanket. I mean, it laid on the ground, it stayed on the ground. And we've got corn coming up now, you know, 5-7 leaves. I was really concerned about that. We didn't close the furrow really good there, but we thank the Lord we got a rain, and that saved us on that. But that was planted on October the 12th when I should have had it done. But I was really trying to get my grant field done because I wanted to do the very best job I could on it. All of it was planted to grain drill. I planted 3 species of cover crop with 1 pass in different hoppers. We did rye in 1 big hopper, and we planted crimson in 2 mini hoppers, and the rash in another mini hopper. So we were trying something different there. So one more thing about these guys and gals, when it rains, that's what happens to all of our soil when it's not held together. It goes down and compacts, and then the rest of it runs out in the ditch. We have seen less standing water with our cover crop land in the last 2 years. You know, everybody knows how wet it was last year. My cover crop land did not have standing water on it. My no-till land did. No-till land was subsoil, cover crop land was not. These are historically ponding land. The kind that when you get a really big rain, you just get shovels and you go out there and you pull the trenches across there. And we did not see standing water. It was amazing. It really was. And that was with just 1 year of cover crop on that land. So I know it sounds like a lot of big things. I'm just sharing with y'all what we saw on our farm. Anyway, and like I said, when we go out here, we're just going to take the track. We're going to make a couple of passes. We're not going to plant the whole field. I don't have my insecticide ready to put in the cotton. I'm going to let that come up. I'm going to kill it, so I don't end up with two crops out there. But I just want y'all to see kind of what we're trying to do. We've got the planter set for around 1 inch depth. I'm not saying it's going to do a perfect job. It's just going to take a little time for us to get it dialed in. I think it's going to do decent though. But like I said, corn's a whole lot more forgiving. But we're going to try a little bit of cotton and see what it does.